As president of the Brian Trendler Fan Club, I'm honored to introduce our next presenter. Brian is a person who can sit and recite the phone book for me, and I am hysterical during the process. You may have met Brian in the back. He has a booth there, and I do need to take a minute to advise him about something. You might note that he has a tagline, "We fix ugly." Okay. And Brian, you need to kind of work on that. I spent 2 hours with you last month. I don't look any better. But we will hear what Brian has to say, and just ignore me over there. Make sure my mic is off while Brian is speaking. I may be very distracting. Please help me give a warm welcome, Brian Trendler.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Oh, I have dreamt about this for so many weeks. I've also vomited, thrown up, lost about 15 pounds. And personally, I want to jump off the stage right now and just see what happens. It's been about 4 years since I've been up onto a Toastmaster stage, primarily because my parole officer says it's just really not a good idea and stay away and let's just see what happens. But I miss all of you. I was a member for about 15 years. Now that tells you one of two things. A, I'm really, really slow and I just didn't get it. Or I loved you all so much, it was one of those things where it became that motivation. It became something that I loved doing, or maybe I'm just a sadomasochist and I just love pain. But either way, speaking is the same thing. So when it comes to handling the impromptu portion of this presentation, I would like the lovely Emmy to stand up if she would, because she offered to be my assistant in this. A number of you received a card from me prior to my speech today. Can you hold up your card? Emmy will run around and she'll get that. Oh, there's one way in back. Phil, would you mind coming forward and helping so Emmy doesn't have to dance in her high shoes? Even though she does a wicked polka, just for the record. So one of the things I'd like to do today is highlight one of the techniques I learned about 14 some odd years ago, thank you, where it allowed me to hone the impromptu skills that I use on a regular basis. One of the key things about Toastmasters is what during a meeting? Toastmasters do table topics. Who likes table topics? Okay, you are all lying through your teeth. It's one of the hardest things. It's one of the things that people absolutely are terrified of. Why am I causing static cling or something? But it's one of those things where you're absolutely terrified because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're going to be told, what you're going to be asked, how you're going to react. But that's one of the things that makes people good speakers, good comedians. I am absolutely blown away by the talent here today. I do not deserve to be here on this stage. The people who have come before me and who will come after me just shine the biggest and brightest light, and I'm so honored to be here. So all I can do is impart a little bit of a technique or two, and at the same time, I have 2 kids, the love of my lives, but holy crap, they eat a lot of food. So see me at the back of the table, buy some of these decks of cards for the love of Pete, or if nothing else, buy one of those shot glasses, because at the end of the average Toastmaster session, let's face it, we all want to drink, okay? So when it comes to my moderately successful branding company, back there is the way to nirvana, because you put a little bit of M&Ms or some vodka in one of those shot glasses, you're good to go. And trust me, I get funnier the drunker that you get. Okay. So the technique with the cards, and it's funny because the person here that I won't pick on, I was back there at the back table, and he looked at me and said, "These things are blank." He goes, "You lose a lot of poker playing these cards, don't you? You must suck at cards." No, the reason why they're blank is because I want you to write something, or I want you to draw something on these cards. As you begin to become an impromptu speaker and someone who's comfortable with being asked a random subject to talk about, and how much time do you have for table topics? 2 minutes. Holy crap. That's horrible. And the worst thing about that is you have less than 2 minutes. You have less than 30 seconds realistically to prepare. Now that standard stall technique is, "Thank you, Michelle, Madam Toastmaster. I love the opportunity to talk about the subject you gave me, because right now I am stalling because I do not know what the hell I'm going to talk about." And during that period, you've been thinking, there's an introduction, there's 1 or 2 analogies, and then there's going to be a call to action. Because I'm in a contest right now and I want to win. It's all about winning. No, but it teaches you to become a better speaker because your mind starts thinking on that level. Now, another person in the audience, I won't pick on him, Kyle Hall, asked me, what does it take to become a great improvisational speaker? In my case, have a traumatic brain injury, learn how to walk again, talk again, learn how to breathe again, lose the majority of your childhood, and have absolutely no short-term memory. Thank you, I'm done. That's my world. I don't know most of your names because I have the memory retention of a goldfish. But that's okay because I've never written a speech down. Never. And that irritates a lot of people. Another person inspired me a long time ago and taught me how to do mind mapping. Anyone heard of mind mapping? Okay, fantastic. This is the prodigy, bastard, redheaded stepchild of mind mapping, okay? So what I'm going to do is demonstrate how to give a presentation, how to give a speech with these cards. And I don't know what's on it. Oh, God help me. I do now. The first word is bed sheet. The second word is laughter. The third word is embarrassment, which is my world right now. Then we have London. Thank you, Michelle. I know you. And the last one is oysters. Okay, so I'm just going to end my presentation right now because I really don't want to do any of these. Oh my gosh, okay. But the point is, if you're writing this yourself and not trying to be self-deprecating and give people the opportunity to randomly screw you up, you can write either a word or a short sentence or even draw a picture that eloquently, not in a clusterfuck fashion, allows you to go through your speech presentation just with simple keywords or with visual images. When I did a presentation like this about 6 years ago at one of the spring conferences, we focused specifically on pictures. So for example, I drew a dog, I drew a leash, I drew a bottle of water, and I drew a baseball cap. I'm a visual person, I'm an artist, okay? Ask me to do math? No, forget that. Ask me to do simple sentence structure, not gonna happen. But from the visual stimuli standpoint, we learn as children, as babies, visually. You don't see a 2-year-old child, you know, figuring out what an adverb or a simile is. No, they're looking at going, it's a ball. It's red ball. I mean, it's strictly visual. They see the color, they see the shape. It's word association based off of visual stimuli. That's what I want people to do with these card decks. So they're blank for a purpose. So, in a case like this, these really suck. Thank you, everybody, for putting these on. This is absolutely horrible. You want to start out with like this one time in band camp. Wow. This really is nowhere to go but up here. Okay. Normally you have about 30 seconds or so to compile your thoughts. Now I'm hoping someone just pulls the fire alarm. Geez Louise. Okay. Fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, open to the public guests, I am so happy to be here today. I am so thankful that these godforsaken cards were put in my hand and that they were put in a random order and I can look at it and I can determine what to talk about. So I'm going to tell you a story about when I traveled abroad. It was an incredibly exciting experience. I personally am not really a music fan, but I followed Duran Duran. That's right, I did. They're my dudes, totally cool. So we went to London. It was the most amazing experience. Now, granted, you know, when I didn't have my passport, I looked a little bit shady. So the first few, 20, 30 minutes of that involved a quiet room and a rubber glove and very uncomfortable, embarrassing situations that were really, really frustrating. I already mentioned London, so I can do that. But at the same time, it's okay because we got on the plane, we had a wonderful trip. The neatest thing about flying first class is I shanked the guy in front of me and I stole his card. So I got to sit up in front class, or for first class. And the neatest thing about that is, oh my gosh, have you ever had oysters? You ever had oysters? They are so good. The creepy thing about oysters, though, is don't eat them at 30,000 feet. Because about 6 hours into the flight, room occupied. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? Bad deal. Don't like it. Don't recommend it. Forget about it. But it's okay. We landed. We had an absolutely wonderful time. I hadn't been to an actual concert in years, and it's amazing when you're so close, these people actually spit on you. they spit and they sweat, and it's really kind of the grossest thing in the world. So afterwards, we had a good time. We got to go back. We got to meet the guys, and it was great, and we shook hands and autographs. It was like, hey, look at me, I'm with Stiffy. And it was selfies and all that great stuff. But I came home, and I flopped in the bed, and oh, man, I stuck to the bed sheets. It was gross. Oh, nasty. Just one of those things where you realize that you went to a party, you went to a concert, and it was great. And really, I mean, I'm done with that because it was just nasty. So I don't really like it. But what I did do is I journaled about it, and I thought about it. And now I can look back at it and just fill myself with laughter. Now again, thank you for everybody who gave me one of those cards. You're totally dead to me. Because I was hoping to get puppy dogs, maybe a picture of like a shellfish or oyster or something, but instead I got those. That was really hard. And it may not have been the most awe-inspiring speech whatsoever, but the point is that you could see those words, you can come up with a story, whether it's real or not, you can just make it up and you can go with it. But most importantly, each and every one of you could take one of those decks of cards, $3, back room, come see me, because they are blank. And you can take 5 cards out at any time. You can give the most god-awful, boring PowerPoint presentation in the world, and you can write those key words or key images on 5 cards, and you can give a presentation for as long as you need to. It's incredibly simple, but what do we do in practice? I just gave it away. What do we do in Toastmasters? We practice. You have to practice on 7. I'd suck on a game show. Alex, I will not answer it in a question. I'm sorry. If you practice, you can learn how to do it to the point where at any one time, the subject matter can completely change. And that happens a lot. And the neatest thing about Toastmasters, how many people are not Toastmasters? How many people are actually outside guests? Fantastic. Love to see you guys. The 2 people going, we're just here for the cookies. They're fantastic cookies, aren't they? The most amazing thing about Toastmasters is it's the safest place to make mistakes and to learn and get incredible constructive criticism. And there's nothing else like that. It's just one of the most amazing experiences. When were you in a boss-like situation and you gave a presentation or some kind of a report and your actual facilitator of either the office meeting or your boss looked at you and you said, now, Jessica, that was a fantastic speech. Now, I'd like to tell you a few things you did good, some things you did really, really well, and some things I'd like to see you improve upon later. That doesn't happen, but if you do the program at Toastmasters, you get that, and it makes you a better speaker. Now, the interesting thing is, years and years and years ago, I tried comedy. I really wasn't very good at it. I've always made the joke that after working crappy dives and little stints here and there, I realized it's an amazing fact how many things can be thrown through chicken wire at you. I mean, talk about your deep-fried cheesecakes and things along those lines. And by the way, for our primary speaker today, wherever you are, I'm a Mac guy, virus-free, and my hard drive works, trust me. So, just saying. Just saying. I can't fix your PC, but I'll show you something that really works. What I wanted to do, though, is really end this. No, it's an absolute amazing situation to be up here, to be able to talk about something like this, because I personally think impromptu speaking is the hardest thing. People always say anybody can write a speech. Well, I've proven after 20-some-odd years that's not possible for me. So I had to find ways around that because of the way my brain is wired, or in this case, rewired. Other people are very, very structural, and they have to have their 250 words for their introduction, and their 2 or 3 anecdotal stories, and their call to action, and things like that. It has to work, and it ends up being War and Peace. But in life, you don't always have those opportunities. So one of the things I do at times is I'm asked to go into organizations and give this type of presentation and teach people, whether they're small business owners, whether they're, doesn't really matter, a business with a problem, from the standpoint of communicating whether to each other or to other businesses or vendors or partner relations to really be able to get the word across, but get it across quickly. Especially nowadays where everything is, oh my God, hashtag, or all of these other things that are switching and transferring on a regular basis, the inherent speaking skills are being lost. So it's my goal, not only from the branding perspective, to fix ugly. Each of you look around, each and every one of you know someone who suffers from ugly. Not here in the room, you're all beautiful, I promise. But at the same time, there's some work that needs to be done. It's just one of those things where if you become a better impromptu speaker, you will inherently become a better speaker in general when you're delivering something that you have tons of time to prepare. So it's my goal to teach everybody to be a better improv speaker, because whether you're talking to your wife or to your husband or to a business partner or to a complete stranger, it makes you better. It makes you focused, believe it or not, because I'm just like a running level of chaos on a regular basis. But it makes you be able to pull from things that you know, the stories, the heartfelt stories, for example, the situations that you see every day at home or in business. I mean, I had an argument with my wife just the other day, and my 4-year-old daughter, who is the love of my life, she looked at me. She was in the middle of this argument between my bride and me, and she looked at me finally and she said, "Now, Dad, you need to think before you speak next time." And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, future Toastmaster, or possibly district attorney or litigator or something. And of course, my son, who's 2-year-old, his head is huge. That's all I'm going to say. His head is ginormous. He chose growth spurt first instead of speech. He puts S's on the end, not in front. So everything is knack, knack instead of snack, and he's just happy to be there, really. We don't have high hopes on for him. That's why you always have 2 kids in case one just doesn't work out. It's kind of an insurance policy thing. I mean, I tell people he really has to be good at sports. If not, he's just going to be in everyone's way. It's ridiculous. He'll just big knuckles. He'll be like, "Come on, let's just move on through. It's fine." I mean, he's going to be a future bouncer. We're actually going to help him support one of the other events. We'll just have him in his high chair and seriously, just, big Cro-Magnon thing and flaming ginger hair. I don't know where he gets it from. So all I can say is speak. Speak every time you have a chance. Don't be afraid. Get up. Forget death. Forget spiders. Public speaking is fun. The song I picked here to come up for is from that silly Guardians of the Galaxy movie, by the way, which rocked. And it's the Hooked on the Feeling song. I'm hooked on this feeling. Each and every one of you, when you get up on stage or you stand in front of the lectern at your individual clubs, you're hooked on that feeling. The cool thing about that feeling is that it can get better with practice. And I implore you to consider other techniques to make yourself a better speaker. And of course, that's the Kool-Aid we all drink here at Toastmasters. If you learn the process, if you learn the skill sets behind developing a speech, something like this, for example, you will become a rock-solid presenter, even if it's at a moment's notice. Thank you very much.